guys, so I know you want Piccolo videos. They are coming. I've had so many people ask for them. I promise I'm making them. I just really want to do a great job, and they're going to take a little bit of time to prepare and make sure that everything that I want to cover is covered properly. But in the meantime, we're going to talk about grad school. A few years ago, I made a video about studying for comprehensive exams and the preparation for that, and I want to talk a little bit more about like the first semester of grad school so that you guys have a running start and you don't make some of the mistakes that I did and maybe learn from some of the things that I learned when I was going into grad school. The first thing that I really want to talk about is, yes, the tests are scary and you want to focus on them, but also don't let your social life and your development of relationships within the music school suffer because you're so worried about the tests. I met my best friends from grad school in the first week. I met them during orientation, and we have been friends ever since. I lived with one of them for 2 years. Emily was someone that I met in the first week of grad school during the tests. So yes, the tests are scary. You have to focus on them because if anything, you have to pay more money if you don't pass them. But the social side of things and meeting people and getting to know people and getting to create these relationships that are going to last through grad school is also really important. What we did a lot was after the tests, we would go have a drink and hang out and just kind of chill after this very, very intense day of like sitting in a room taking a test that was very scary. We made plans to go to see movies and do stupid things and do things away from the music school, especially like later to the degree when we were better friends. But even in the first week, there were multiple outings that were planned by various people that we had encountered that was just kind of to meet people and chill. And honestly, most of the people that I met during orientation are still friends of mine. And that's something that is a little bit different from undergrad, just because when you're in grad school orientation, you're with music students and music students only. And so these are people that you're going to be around for the next 2 years, maybe 5 if you're doing a doctorate. And so whereas in undergrad orientation, you're paired with people who have nothing in common with you, maybe. Some of them might, and some of them might still be friends with you, but a lot of the times, like with freshman videos, they talk about like, your friends from orientation are not going to be your friends for life. In grad school, it's a little bit different. The other thing that I really realized in retrospect is that grasping the culture of the school and really embracing that is incredibly important to do very early on. I wasn't so good at this because I was a little pig-headed and felt like I knew how music school went. Especially having made these videos for so long, I felt like I knew what I was doing. I didn't. I still don't, but now I can admit that. I didn't really accept the Indiana culture until I was about halfway through my first year, and that really hindered me in my musical development. Also, while my social development and my social life was really great, I felt like I was kind of running up against walls in my musical development because I wasn't really doing things the IU way. I was doing things the Robin and the Toronto way, and those didn't always line up. So really taking on what your teacher is telling you, even if it's something that you've heard before, just in a different way, or if it's something that you don't necessarily agree with, try it. You're there to learn from these people. These teachers are there for a reason, and whether or not it's something that you carry forward past your degree, it's still what you have to do while you're there. That's something that I really regret in my degree, is that I didn't do that early on, and it really did hinder my progress for a while. So definitely really do take on what your teachers are telling you, and also what the school is like. Indiana is a very intense place, and it's something that you definitely feel when you're there. And I tried really hard to kind of ignore Indiana, despite the fact that that's where I was going to school. So think about it, work on it, and like try to really take on what everyone's telling you. The next thing is having like go-to places that, like coffee shops and bars and places that you guys can like hang out and chill and feel comfortable and just have like a routine and tradition is really, really important. It's something that like you can go back to, and it's part of the experience that really makes it your own. For those of you who go to IU, you know that there's a coffee shop right across the street from the music school called Soma. Soma is one of my happy places, and despite the fact that Bloomington and I didn't really mesh in terms of like where I was going to end up permanently, Soma is something that I truly, truly miss, because it was like a little local coffee shop. All of the employees were students, and most of them were music students, and it's just nice, and it was a great way to like, I need a practice break, I'm just gonna go to Soma and get coffee. And having those places and having those safe places is really, really cool. Last thing I want to leave you guys with is grad school is hard. You're going to struggle. I have shed so many tears in my time at Bloomington, and that's not a bad thing. It means you care, it means that you're working, and it means that it's hard, and music isn't always going to be easy. Nothing in life is. And hopefully you have a support system that helps you get through it, and that's where the other stuff comes in. But don't feel discouraged if you are struggling. We all do it, and it's part of the process. And if you can kind of get through that stage of struggle, that struggle will help you later on, because you will have figured out a way to get around it. And that's the biggest thing, is grad school is there to help you refine what you already do well and figure out where you want to live in the music world. Undergrad is kind of there to like beat you down and build you back up and really get you to the point where you can play your instrument, and then grad school is where you learn to be a musician. And that seems like a very weird distinction, but being a musician in the real world is different than being a musician in music school, and grad school is there to help you get from the music school life to the real world. And it's not an easy transition, I promise you. And yes, I've made videos about how it's not easy even once you get out of grad school and you go into the real world, but if you take your time in grad school seriously and you embrace the struggle and you embrace the difficulty, you will be so much better off when you get into the real world. And that being said, it's no fun when you're there and you're struggling and you're crying in a Steak and Shake at like 6 p.m. It's something that you can learn from and grow from, and it'll make you a stronger person. Maybe I'm just telling myself that, but I think it did. Grad school was 2 of the best years of my life in terms of my musical development, and I wouldn't take it back for the world. It just was hard, and that's not gonna change. But if you like this video, give it a like. If you're new here, subscribe. If you want to support me more, check out my Patreon, and I will see you guys on Thursday. Piccolo videos are coming, I promise.